Hey guys, it's Blaine. Thanks for tuning into this episode of the Ghosts in Us podcast. The episode you're about to watch, for the first 10 minutes, I personally have some audio issues where my mic just wasn't on for whatever reason. So I hope you can bear with me because this episode is really good. Kurt's an awesome guy. So thank you guys for just bearing with us. I hope you enjoy.
Ghosts in Us contains serious and sometimes disturbing events and is not suitable for all audiences. Viewer discretion is advised. We are the Ghosts in Us crew.
I don't feel comfortable from over there.
We look to experience the supernatural.
If that's you, can you light up that ball one more time? I command!
It's here!
Hey!
Blaine, I saw that on my screen.
That was the best thing ever!
And in this podcast, we want to hear your experiences.
The guy followed me.
It was completely involuntary, but I started crying.
Let's come together and pierce the veil between ghosts and us.
Hello, everybody, and welcome back to another episode of the Ghost in Us podcast. I'm here with my host, Taylor, and our special guest. We have Kurt from the Strange Sessions Strange Sessions podcast. Because Krista's off on a little vacation.
Well, anniversary vacation.
I got to steal Kurt.
Yes, you did. Thanks for having me on. This is awesome. This is awesome. Yeah, I didn't know I had friends that had somebody that was so into the paranormal in their family.
Yeah.
So, yeah, it was just cool. Like, I knew nothing about that. So it's nice to finally meet you.
Yeah.
And you will be on the Strange Sessions next season.
Excited. Yeah, I'm very excited you guys were talking about that. But the reason I have you on is you had some experiences in an old apartment.
Yes, I did. Do you want to just hear them?
I would love to.
All right, I'm going to read these because I posted this on LiveJournal while it was happening,
yeah.
and that was back when people used LiveJournal. I don't even know if they do anymore. But this was all posted on LiveJournal. And the thing is, I've been in 3 or 4 different apartments in my life, and none of them really had anything happen except this one. And again, like I told you earlier, I loved it that Natalie, who was my girlfriend at the time, I'm still friends with her, she came into our Facebook group after this episode to verify that all this stuff happened because it sounds crazy.
Right.
You know, so I'll just read you. This was on, and a lot of misconceptions people have about this is that everything happened in the span of like a week. It didn't. It was seriously June 2006 to June 2015. So it wasn't everything condensed at once. But what we noticed was that it was happening like every February.
Okay.
It recurred like nothing, and then all of a sudden February would come around and it would start up again. So here it is from LiveJournal. I wrote, my girlfriend and I have been in our apartment for about 8 months now, and over these 8 months, there have been quite a few things that have happened that have led us to believe that something is going on there. I posted some of this on the website I Am Haunted, which I think doesn't exist anymore. But here's the complete situation copied from my LiveJournal. I'm just curious as to what you people think about this. It all started shortly after Natalie and I moved in, and we would constantly find Legos laying on the floor. Neither of us owned any Legos, so we had no idea where these were coming from. Natalie would find one, throw it away in her cat-proof garbage can, and then it would be laying on the floor again the next day. My theory was that a kid had lived there before us, and somehow, you know how kids are, he stuck a bunch of Legos.
And they just come out of nowhere.
I actually climbed on top of the cupboards to look on the very top of the cupboards to see if the cats found some up there, but there was nothing up there. The theory was that a kid had lived there and had Legos hidden somewhere in the apartments. The cat found them, and the cats were playing with them. But when I went to look at the apartment for the very first time, it was spotless. I mean, they did a perfect job of cleaning the apartment, so if there were Legos there, they had to be hidden super well. Shortly after we moved in, we heard scratching on the bedroom door one night when we were laying in bed. It wasn't unusual for the cats to do that, but this didn't sound like the cat's usual scratching, and it was a little higher up on the door. The next morning, we opened the door and we found scribbling on it from a green crayon. And it could have been there, and we just never noticed it because we never really had a reason. You know, so we're trying to figure out reasons for all this. And then one night, Natalie said she came and woke me up and said she heard strange voices in the bathroom. She told me that she also heard the voice of a child giggling in the living room one night. We both noticed that sometimes when we got up and went to the bathroom in the middle of the night, the apartment just didn't feel right, and the cats sometimes seemed spooked by something. I really got Natalie mad because I was poo-pooing it. I'm like, I'm a ghost hunter. I'm like, there's nothing here. I mean, this stuff is all explainable. You know, there's nothing in our apartment. She got really kind of mad at me. And one night, Natalie was sick and congested, and she was snoring, and it was driving me crazy. So I went to sleep on the couch in the living room. Around 3:00 a.m., I woke up, rolled over, and heard a child giggling like he was standing directly in front of me in front of the couch. It went on for a few seconds and then trailed off. I know I was awake and it wasn't sleep paralysis or some sort of waking dream. I turned the lights on and I was like, what was that? It was clearly a young child and it sounded like a boy giggling. Not in an evil way, just like a kind of a happy giggling. So I told Natalie the next morning and she was like, see, I told you there was something going on here. So she didn't let me forget about that. She was convinced that I brought something home from a paranormal investigation.
Well, yeah,
which happens, but
yeah.
I did not feel like that happened. You know, maybe that's just me not wanting to believe that something would have attached to me. And then the article, my posting of this on the LiveJournal then says, a few weeks ago, Natalie got out of the shower one evening and called me into the bathroom. The steam had fogged up the mirror and there was a clear child's handprint on the fogged up mirror that was never there before. It was smaller than both of our hands. We put our hands up next to it. The mirror fogs up on a daily basis and the handprint was not there that morning or else I would have noticed it when I got out of the shower. I did take some pictures of it, but haven't loaded them onto my computer yet. I think I still do have the pictures at home, but it just shows what looks like a kid's handprint. And then Natalie and I have our hands next to it, and it's smaller than both of our hands. Yes. I got to find them because one of my laptops crashed a while ago, but I think I retrieved them. So if I find them, I will send them to you.
And if he has them, you'll see them pop up on the screen.
Yeah, yep. Then it goes to say, Sunday evening, I was in the kitchen making supper and standing over the sink. Natalie was in the shower. There is a bar-type counter in the kitchen that looks out into the living room. I was facing away from it while I was by the stove in the sink, and on the wall above the sink, there was the clear shadow of someone walking through the living room. I figured it was one of the cats because sometimes they walk across that shelf, but when I looked, 2 cats were laying on the floor by me and the other 2 were asleep in different rooms. So I have no idea where the shadow came from, but it was clearly the shadow of something walking past the kitchen behind me. And then it says next, wow, I am dredging up an almost year-old post here because things started happening again. This almost makes me wonder if whatever is going on here isn't residual in nature and it pops up at a certain time every year. Anyway, within the past week or so, more things have started happening at the apartment. There's been absolutely nothing out of the ordinary here since I posted the stuff last year, but now it seems like it's starting up again. Last week, Natalie was in the shower one night after I went to bed. She said she heard a loud thump against a bathroom door and the sound of the knob trying to open. She thought it was me, so she told me to just come in. I was sound asleep at the time, so it wasn't me. Now, keep in mind we have 5 cats with us at this point, so it could easily have been them wrestling against the door. Also last week when Natalie was in the shower one night, 3 caps of her various hair stuff sitting on the counter all popped off at once and went flying around the room. It could have been due to the heat or humidity in the room, but that's never happened before in the 2 years that we've been in the apartment. Over that weekend, Natalie was in the kitchen getting something, and I was in the living room sitting on the recliner using my laptop. There's a bar-type counter that looks into the kitchen from where I was sitting. I had to be no more than 6 or 7 feet away from Natalie. From right between the 2 of us came the sound of a child singing something. I assumed it was Natalie, so I asked her what the heck she was singing in that weird voice. She said she hadn't said anything, and she thought the sound was me playing an EVP on my laptop, which I wasn't at the time. So we have no idea what the heck that singing was. Last night, I was laying in bed sleeping. It was a chilly night, and I had the window open a bit. Natalie was still in the living room on her computer, so I was alone in the bedroom. At one point, I woke up and very clearly heard the sound of a young child next to the bed say the words, "I'm cold," in a really sad voice like they were complaining about how cold it was in the room. It could have been a half-asleep dream, but I don't think it was. I keep trying to rationalize what's happening in there, which is understandable.
That's our job.
That is our job to try to figure out why this stuff is happening.
Yeah, because we've done that plenty of times. Like, we had... our very first investigation.
There was the cat ball, and you're just like waving at it, blowing on it.
We were at the Jericho convent house. we had a cat ball sit on the floor
Yeah.
in the basement.
Yeah.
And we just had a camera pointing out. We had 2 of them, and the one in front of the doorway was lighting up. And you counted, it lit up 26 times, and we couldn't recreate it. The only way I could do it is if I were to like have the ball, set it on the ground, and then I had to like physically blow on it with like the air coming from your mouth. Because like I would fan it, and it would wobble, but it wouldn't light up.
Yeah.
But
The reason why you were trying to debunk it that way, though, there was a tunnel that led from the convent to the school.
Yeah.
And there was some breeze, but it wasn't
enough to.
And the ball doesn't move.
No, it doesn't move at all.
Which is interesting.
I was talking to Krista about the cat ball thing because it's like, dude, that's so easy.
Yeah.
Like we've never thought of doing that.
So
you know, but that's what we, like you said, that's what we do. Like try to rationalize stuff. And I have to, because I've told this story on the podcast that when we did our investigation at JFK Prep, at one point I was outside investigating, I think by the cemetery. And on my recorder, I caught what sounded like an EVP, and I slowed it down, cleared it up. I was convinced I knew what this EVP was. And then I was looking at my notes, and I realized that what I was listening to was the sound of me peeing outside by a tree.
Right.
But I thought I knew what it was saying, and it's like, oh my God, it is really easy to talk yourself into believing what you think it is.
When we went to Broadhead, it was Zinger, he's sitting on the side over here. We were in the basement of the building, and we were in the boiler room, and we're conducting, we're just trying to communicate with whatever's there. And I have a digital recorder set up on one of the things, and there's a spirit there that's allegedly supposed to like come up to you and go, hey, like in your ear.
Yeah.
And I thought I caught it.
It was just you heavy breathing.
It's my out of shape ass rolling over to get off of the floor. You just hear me go, ugh.
Yeah.
It's like synced it up
You
to the
were
camera. I was
so
like,
excited.
I was so excited. Like, I caught it. I got it. And then
And
nope,
you didn't.
it's just me rolling like a fat
I completely know how that goes. I mean, that's happened to us so many times, and it's frustrating because we try to be really good about saying somebody's clearing their throat or something, and then something you just never know for sure. So I totally get that. But that's what I was doing. I was like trying to find explanations for everybody, but it's just like for everything, but it's just like there's so much starting to happen that I'm like, no, there's something going on. So then it goes on to say, Natalie and I, it says last week, Natalie and I were cleaning the bedroom, and I found another Lego on the floor next to the bed. Legos had not shown up anywhere since the activity of the previous year. We've cleaned the bedroom several times, and there's never been a Lego or anything else in there. Where it came from, we have no idea. Over the weekend, and this one was weird to me, over the weekend, I set the Lego on the dresser. The bedroom door was closed all day, so nobody went in the room. None of the cats got in. When I went into the bedroom later that day, the Lego somehow went from the dresser to being back in the same spot on the floor. Nobody had been in the room, so I have no idea how that Lego went off the dresser onto the floor. And then I wrote, it's weird how we went from a period of crazy activity to a long stretch of nothing, and now it's starting up again. Is this a spring/February thing? And then I wrote, edit. After rereading all this stuff, and this is true, it sounds like a lot of the activity focuses on the bathroom and the area outside of the bathroom, which is also right by the counter that looks into the kitchen. I wonder if maybe this is somehow a focal point. And then nothing. And then the following February after that, Natalie went to California for her birthday. The second day she was gone, a Lego appeared again on the floor of the bedroom, a small yellow Lego. Like if you know what Legos look like, it's a small two knob Legos. Yeah. I got mad, threw it in a drawer on the dresser, and closed it. That night, I woke up to the sound of a child sobbing in the bedroom. I took the Lego out and set it on top the fan at the end of the bed, and sobbing never came back. So it's so weird to me. And then it says Natalie and I broke up shortly after that. After we broke up, the apartment was quiet for the most part, with some minor activity here and there. Our cat, Bucky, passed away. At the time, he had been with Natalie in Chicago. Within the week after he died, I saw him in the apartment twice. One time I saw him out of the corner of my eye sitting under the kitchen table, and the second time I saw him walk out from under the end table in front of the couch and disappear. This next thing could easily have been an auditory hallucination. One night I was laying in bed with the fan on. I've slept with fans on my entire life. This night, after I shut the light off and was trying to get to sleep, I was listening to the sound of the fan when all of a sudden the fan sound morphed into the sound of a crowd of people all talking at once with the sounds of occasional laughter thrown in. I turned on the light, turned the fan on and off, but it had gone away. That's the only time that's ever happened. And that kind of freaked me out.
Yeah,
because
that's
it was weird.
interesting.
It was weird. And it could easily have been me drifting off to sleep, listening
Right.
to the fan and starting to have a dream. But it was weird and it was creepy. Then things started to like escalate in a bad way. That's when I started to get scratched in the shower. Now, I worked in a factory that made steel piston rings. It was Federal Mogul at the time. Now it's Tenneco. So I could have had metal slivers on me when I got into the shower and they scratched me when I used a washcloth, but that had never happened before in all the years I worked there. It started one night after I got home from work at 11 p.m. I was in the shower when all of a sudden there was a burning sensation on my right leg. I looked down at it and there were scratch marks, 2 or 3, I can't remember, on my leg that were fresh and just starting to bleed. I brushed it off, but this started to happen more and more often, either on my legs or my arms. I do have photos of the scratches somewhere, so I'm going to see if I can find those.
That would be really
too.
cool, yeah.
So then this is where everybody like noped out of this whole thing. Everything culminated when I saw a really, really weird thing one afternoon. I believe it was around 5 or 6 p.m. I was sitting in my recliner watching TV. Directly behind the recliner is the little hallway that goes to the bedroom and the bathroom. As I was sitting there, I heard a sound come from that hallway. I turned my head a little at the sound to the point where I was looking at the bathroom door out of my peripheral vision. Then I saw what I can only describe as an old man crawl slowly out of the bathroom around the door frame into that little hallway. He was crawling in a weird way, almost like he was just using his fingertips and toes. And where his back should have been arched, it went to a sharp point, like a point, like his back had been broken. He was wearing a blue and black checkered flannel shirt or jacket. He had raggedy jeans on, and I never saw his face because he was looking down, and he had long, stringy, dripping white hair that hung down. Like, I can still see this in my head.
Oh,
And
yeah.
some of our listeners
That's
have
something
tried.
you
Some of our
forget.
listeners have tried drawing it, and nobody's actually got it just right. But I can picture it in my head, and if I could paint, I would paint what it looked like.
Kurt, can I ask you a question?
Yes.
So you've covered like a lot of topics on
Yes.
your show.
Yes.
You've covered things from like the black-eyed kids
Yeah.
to
Hat
various
Man.
different the man in the hat.
Yeah.
Do you think, because in some negative cases, there are instances where people just, they don't have either facial features or they maybe, have you ever thought about maybe what was hiding underneath?
The thing, I'll get to that in a second here. I don't know what I think, but one of my friends had a theory. I saw him crawl out of the door frame into the hallway and then it was gone. It lasted maybe 5 to 10 seconds. I should have been terrified, but I was more just like stunned. Like, did I just really see that?
Mm-hmm.
So I wasn't super freaked out. The next morning, though, I went to the thrift store in Two Rivers and bought a big crucifix. I hung it up in the bathroom and then everything pretty much stopped. I ended up moving out a year or 2 later. My friend Brooke was convinced, and this kind of got to me. She was convinced that the old man was something demonic that was mocking me, showing me how I was isolating myself from people, and if I kept doing that, I would die old and alone. And when she told me that, because that's kind of the point in my life where I kind of started just wanting to like not be
Right.
Like one of my friends describes me as the most antisocial social person he's ever met because I'm kind of a social person. But around that time, I had started to like distance myself from people and just kind of like being alone. And she completely felt that was something showing me myself dying old and alone.
That's interesting.
It is interesting. And the thing is, I told her I don't have a shirt like that. I love flannel shirts.
Right.
I don't have a shirt like that. A few years later, I was in a thrift store and I found a long sleeve flannel shirt that I really liked. I bought it and it was on the drive home and I looked down and I realized that it looked a lot like the blue and black flannel shirt the thing was wearing. I still wear it to this day. Some of my students know this story and they refer to it as my quote death shirt. They hate it when I wear it to school because they believe I'm going to die wearing that shirt.
That's
so
really
It's really dark.
I don't.
That's
It is
so-
dark. I don't. When I drive down to do the podcast by Krista, I do not wear the shirt. I wear the shirt to school, and kids get pissed. They're like, "Don't wear that." They're like, "What if a shooting happens that day?"
Oh my God.
Right? And it's weird. It's weird because looking at the shirt, it is the shirt the guy was wearing,
Right.
which I did not own at the time. So
Is that what you would consider a synchronicity?
yes, I would. I really would. If you listen to our podcast, Krista and I are crazy about synchronicities.
Yeah.
You know, they and what's weird is that it's like Hellier, where people that listen to our podcast that never experience them start to experience synchronicities.
Yeah, I saw that in the
like
Facebook
people
group.
are
Yeah.
like, dude, I've never seen the 1111s before, and now it's like constantly popping up because that was what always was big for me was 1111s. So I do think it could be a synchronicity, but it could also be like some kind of weird predestination thing. Like I don't know. And when I talked about the apartment on our podcast, Natalie joined the Facebook group to vouch that all the things happened that she was there for. I mean, I've been in several apartments before and after, and nothing like that has happened. I am convinced that apartment was majorly haunted. But it's like I don't know how to reconcile the kid stuff with the old dude thing crawling out of my bathroom.
I was gonna ask, like, how does it go from like
some of my friends, and I've thought about this, think that the kid stuff was attached to Natalie because her birthday was in February.
Oh.
And February is when stuff happened.
and it all stopped after she
Yes,
left.
the kid stuff stopped after she left. The
interesting.
getting scratched in the shower and the old guy happened after she left. When the kid stuff was going on, there were no scratches in the shower. It was only after. So some of my friends theorized that whatever the kid stuff was with Natalie, like opened a door to something else to come into the apartment. Like, I don't know. I don't know what to make of any of this.
I don't know. I was going to say,
really
I don't know if there's a correlation, but now that you're saying that, like, in cases of, like, you even said one of your friends thought it could be something demonic.
Yeah.
In cases like that, they do try and mimic kids.
Yeah.
So I'm not ultimately saying that's what it was,
yeah.
but I'm also saying, like, that is a possibility.
It is. The kid
where it
stuff was
shifted.
never creepy. It was just weird. Like, where are these Legos coming from?
Yeah, they
And, like,
try to
and then
ease
it's
you
like,
in.
how can something manifest Legos?
Yeah, because
You know, so it's
yeah.
just, it was so weird, and we don't know how to explain any of this. You know, considering that I'm like, Krista and I are like hardcore into the paranormal, it's like, we don't know what to make of this. We just don't. I love Brooke's idea that the thing was mocking me dying old and alone.
Yeah.
You know, so I don't know. But the way it crawled out was
No,
like
that's-
on its fingertips and toes, and then the back being at a point was so weird.
That's, yeah.
And again, I wish I could paint. I can't even draw like a stick person. Like, I wish I could paint because I could paint what this thing looked like crawling out of the bathroom. But so much stuff was tied into the bathroom. You know, Natalie, like, she said she heard voices coming from the drain one day. Like, and that was where, like, the stuff kind of started, was her telling me she heard voices in the bathroom coming from the drain. And that's like Stephen King.
Yeah, I was going to say, she's talking to Pennywise here or what?
You know? So I just don't know what to make of any of it. But
That's
our
so
listeners, like one of my
interesting.
good friends, Carly, that listens to the podcast, was pissed. She's like, I can't get up and go to the bathroom at night now without thinking about your old guy crawling around the door.
I had an experience in my own bathroom.
Really?
Yeah, it was a while after we did the school.
Yep.
It was a few months right as before I started doing this podcast. I was getting ready for work. I woke up, my alarm went off at 4:30. I woke up after having this nightmare of watching someone have like a demonic possession, but it looked exactly like one of those reenactment ones that you would see on a TV show.
Yeah.
So I physically watched this happen. And then when I woke up, I hit my alarm. I go to my bathroom so I can go and get ready for work. And I see this black shadow walk across the mirror, specifically in the medicine cabinet that's above my toilet in my bathroom. And I didn't think of anything at the time because I thought maybe I'm half asleep and it was my reflection that I'm watching. And I was like, all right, whatever. I get in the shower, whatever. And then I actually wake up at work and I think about it all day.
Yeah.
As soon as I get home, I go into my doorway and I look to see if I can recreate it. And I can't. And I'm thinking, oh, maybe the medicine cabinet was open. Maybe it is me. Well, I went to go open it because the only way I would have been able to is if it opened from the right to the left.
Yeah.
But it opens from the left to the right. So I cannot recreate this happening.
So do you think whatever that was influenced the dream?
That's the only way I can explain it.
Yeah.
I'm considering it one of the biggest coincidences of my life.
Yeah.
Because I've never seen anything
For
since.
the fact that happened.
And I've never seen it since.
Yeah. We just did an episode about mirrors. Mirrors creep me out. Like I realize I avoid looking into my mirror any chance I get. Like I don't like mirrors.
I know I have 2 situations with mirrors.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You do.
Like there's been 2 times where like there was a time where I was moving out from my dad's and I was really upset because, just first time leaving my parents. And I had a body mirror like behind me up against the wall. And I'm sitting on my bed and I'm crying. And all of a sudden the mirror shattered all over my bed, all over like my back. And then there was another time where my ex and I, like we just broke up. And I was really upset. And the mirror was across the room, shattered.
So that like, do you think that's like telekinetic that you
I don't know.
How old were you at the time?
The 18 and 21. But I also lost my mom when I was 15. And whenever I'm like that upset, I always feel like she's around.
Mm-hmm.
And I just think maybe she's just trying to like, hey, I'm here. And shattering my body mirrors.
Shattering the mirrors. Wow, that sounds like an emotional, like telekinetic thing.
I haven't been that upset in many years, so haven't had any more mirrors.
We did our poltergeist episode where we talked about how adolescent teenage girls, that one guy theorized that you could like create an army unit out of adolescent teenage girls that would like fling people out of the way like in Firestarter or something. But that's possible. Like the mirror shattering would be creepy.
The first time I was freaked out. The second time I was like, all right, there's something. Like, there has to be a reason why this happened again when I was just extremely upset.
Huh. I wonder if that's something that you can do. Like that's
you want to see a trick?
That's
break my heart and let's see what happens.
Well, and that's like one of the reasons that I think we do this is both my parents have passed. And it's like, I would like some sort of sign or something. We had the one from my dad. We talked about that in the podcast where the day when my nephew Asher was born, like one of the very first toys my dad bought him was a Tickle Me Elmo doll. And eventually they lost it, had no idea what happened to it. And my sister-in-law's family came up from Ohio for the funeral. So we left the house and went to my dad's funeral. And we walked back into their house, and laying in the middle of the living room floor was a Tickle Me Elmo doll. And we asked them, we're like, did you guys find this? And they said, no, that wasn't laying there when we left. So it was almost like my dad's way of saying
that was
goodbye.
Your sign.
But I would like some sort of more of a sign, I think.
Right.
And that's one thing that's frustrating. It's like we can get all these random things to happen, but like parents, I can't get anything about.
Yeah.
I have a friend that can see stuff, supposedly, when I worked at the factory, and she said she would see a female figure that she thinks is my mom walking behind me with her hand on my shoulder all the time. So I like to believe that she saw that, but
that's interesting.
Yeah.
I know on the anniversary of my mom's death, I played with the spirit box
You
and
did,
I got her saying like, it's Mom, I'm here, I'm proud of you.
Yeah.
Krista so badly wants a spirit box, and it's like,
so I was talking about this before the show. Krista, you're watching this. I know you are. So I wanted to be on the show, on the record. I'm looking directly into the camera. Kurt's my witness. I told him this. I couldn't get it to him today because shipping is a pain, but I did order you a spirit box.
She is going to love you for that because she really wants one.
All you need is a pair of headphones and a blindfold. You can do the SS method yourself. That's our thing, but you can do it.
That's our thing. That's everyone.
That's everybody's like, we're popularizing it.
Did that start with Hellier? Because I had never seen that before they did that on Hellier.
I told you about it.
I got introduced to it. No, I've seen it on Kindred Spirits, and that's with the show with Adam Berry and Amy Bruni from Ghost Hunters way back in the day.
I have no idea. Like, it just popped in my head. I didn't see it, and then I told you, but you said you've seen it. Like,
yeah, that's where I was introduced to it.
See, and I got rid of Hulu and Netflix, and now I subscribe to Discovery Plus. So now I'm binging Secret of Skinwalker Ranch, and then I'm going to jump into all the Expedition Unknowns, Expedition X, and like all the ghost shows on there. Because I didn't really watch those. I kind of got out of Ghost Adventures early in the
Right.
show. I was like, I don't know.
Fair.
Yeah.
I think they're entertaining, but
It's super
only
entertaining.
for entertainment.
I mean, one of the reasons we started the ghost hunting group was because of Taps with Ghost Hunters. When that
I
first
remember you
came
talking
out.
about that. Yeah, you were
Yep.
on the forums back in the day.
Yeah. Yep.
Yeah, because I think we just started it out of pure boredom. We were like, what do you guys want to do?
Well, so for mine and Zinger's anniversary, we were like, do you want to join us? And we went on like a little haunted tour that
Right.
was so just cheesy.
Cheesy. Yeah.
Not really
No
worth
shade.
it.
Yeah, we went on this tour. They just take you to all these places around. We went around Door County was one of
Yeah, one of the Door County haunted
Yeah.
tours.
Well,
I expected that they're gonna tell us. I don't know. I expected something different.
there was like a moment where like the tour guide was like, oh, someone captured this apparition or whatever in a building, and he showed us, and we're like, that's the mannequin in the damn window. And he was really trying to push it, saying it was real.
That it was a ghost.
Yeah,
that
he
does sound
said
pretty
he sent
cheesy.
around this phone, and everybody in the group, and you hear all these middle-aged people go, "Wow, that's so cool!"
And we're over
us,
here
we're
like, what?
There's just a bunch of mannequins in this photo. And I can point out that's the shadow from the light. Like, what are you doing?
Yeah.
Like, what are we doing
And
here?
we went up to the building and was like peeking in, and we're like, there's the mannequin right there.
Like, we're looking right at it. No, but we went on the Sheboygan Asylum tour, and that's where I think it really.
That's what it started.
See, Krista went on there, and Rhonda and Mark from our group went on there, but I didn't because my
Yeah.
sleep schedule is so jacked up. I'm in bed at like 6:30.
Yeah.
I'm at 2 every day. And I'm like, I can't do that. But it was cool because Rhonda was texting me as they were leaving when I was getting
Yeah.
up and said it was interesting. She said it sucked because it was so hot. It was like in
it does get a
August.
bit. I do, as you know, I do some of the tours this year.
Yeah.
I just did my last one, I think, because I think the season's ending soon. But yeah, no, it can't get very hot, especially in that building. But no, it was just the aspect of like when they said this is a tour, but it's not like we're not
not a
going to tell you
history
history.
tour.
As soon as they told me this is going to be an actual ghost investigation,
You were
my
like-
level of excitement went to 11. I was like,
Yeah.
let's go.
Yeah. It's I haven't done that one, but a couple of us did the Mansfield, Ohio reformatory prison
Yeah.
tour. And that's where we saw like one of the best things we ever saw. So it was really cool. Like I would love to do that at the asylum. It's just, I said I'd be great for ghost hunting if some place was haunted at like 5 or 6 a.m. because that's when I'm at my best. So morning ghosts, I'll be there.
Well, that video I sent you, I'll put it in here as well, so there'll be a brief pause or something. But I sent you the EVP because I know how much you love EVPs.
Yes. Yep. Love EVPs.
It was when we were at Broadhead, and you and Jimmy are in the gift shop area, and you just
the
moan. Do it. Yeah, well, we think it says do it. I
Yeah.
put it as an unexplained moan because I don't know for sure.
No, that's the one you sent me.
Yeah, that's the one I
couldn't
sent
kind
you.
of pick up do it from that.
That's what I thought.
Well, I had
but
I showed it to some people at the asylum, and they think it says bring it or something, and
I was saying let's play hide and seek or tag or something. Like I was asking them to play.
you were asking them to light up some of the stuff.
Well, oh yeah,
on
if
the
you
table.
wanted to do
Yeah.
hide and seek.
Oh yeah.
And then I'm like scanning the room, and then it like goes to Jimmy, and he's like, well, maybe this. And I had to ask Jimmy, did you make this noise?
I grilled him for questions. I was like one of those, we were like good cop, bad cop. And I was like, dude, did you do anything? Because the camera wasn't on him.
Yeah.
And I said, did you do this? Like, I need to know.
Yeah.
And he said, no, I swear to God, I didn't do it. And I was
and
like,
then I
all
know
right.
for sure
it's
we did
clear.
not
There's
hear
clearly
that.
something there.
And it sounds completely different. Like the reverberation from being in the room with the camera sounds completely different to the way that EVP is.
Can you make anything in this room go off? The red light, the blue light, any of the cat balls?
Maybe I should hide.
Any of the cat balls?
Maybe I should hide.
It's so hard for me though, because when I feel like I know what an EVP is saying, it's hard for me to hear when somebody else hears something different.
So since you did have a team, you haven't gone on any investigations in a long while.
We're still technically together, but I think the last one we went on was, oh my God, maybe 2011, 12.
Right.
You know, it's just that we got older and it's just like, you know,
right.
We just don't do it anymore. But Krista's getting like tips from people she works with about places, and that's probably what you heard.
Yeah. Well, I want to know is what was your favorite location to go to?
Elsing Secondhand Shop.
Secondhand?
Yeah, we investigated there at least a dozen times, and stuff happened every single time we were there. Like every single time.
Is that the one where, if you listen to the Strange Sessions, Kurt talks about this, I think this is the right location, that you stayed in the basement by yourself, or was that a different place?
No, I stayed there 2 nights by myself investigating. And like, I never got a bad vibe from there, other than the first time we investigated. But that's kind of how that place did it, is your first time there. Like, we went in an EVP circle. And we were down there with Vicky, the owner and stuff. And we're down there doing the EVP circle. And all of a sudden, even though it was pitch black in the basement, the room got darker. And we're all like, no, this isn't good. So we stopped. And we were waiting for a girl named Barry that was in our group, because she's done tons of investigations and she's like our go-to person. So we were waiting for her to arrive before we did anything else. So then when she showed up, we did another EVP circle. Nothing happened. And Barry later told me she was thinking these guys are just taps loving noobs that buy into anything. And then later we tried another one, and then Barry's like, no. She's like, it's happening. And then the room got dark again. And then Mark said he felt like somebody was behind him, like gonna strangle him. And Barry and I got physically sick and had to leave. And Barry's like, whatever's here isn't good. You know, and I never got the impression that what was there wasn't good, but that's kind of what it did, is everybody's first time there, it was like, this is what I can do if I want to. And then after that, it's kind of cool with you.
Right.
You know, my buddy Aaron, who was a big skeptic in those days, he's not anymore, but we went there and we walked down into the furniture room in the basement where stuff happens. And immediately he's like, dude, I don't want to be down here. He's like, this isn't right. So then we went back upstairs. And he sat in a chair by the counter. And Vicky wanted to take me to the back of the building to show me where a saw blade had flown off the wall like the week before.
What?
Yeah. So she's taking me back there. And then I look to my left, and there's the bank of monitors showing all around the building. So I'm looking at them, and there's like nothing happening. So we walk back there to the shelf, and then we walk back up front and go by Aaron. And then Vicky goes, Aaron, did you unplug the monitors? And Aaron's like, no, I've been sitting here reading a magazine. And you could see that the monitors were now unplugged, and the plug was set on the counter by Aaron. And Aaron's like, I didn't hear anything. So he was all freaked out.
That's so
left.
Weird.
And before we went there, we stopped at a place in Stoughton called the Coffee Cup, and we had garbage omelets, which are omelets with chili, peppers, like everything on them.
Sounds delicious.
Oh my God, so good. When we left, we stopped at the gas station down the road, and Aaron threw up, and he said it was just like a gush of water, clear water, like. And that was when he was like, no, he's like, dude, he's like, you're right. This place is nuts. And every time we were there, something happened. That's where Krista had the breathing in her ear.
Yeah. I remember her talking about that.
You know, it was like my favorite thing, even though it was kind of nothing, is that nobody else wanted to sleep in the furniture room in the basement, but I did. I slept on a couch. And it's pitch black down there. And I think I woke up like around 5, and I'm just laying there because my phone, I think, was upstairs charging. And I'm just laying there, and I'm like, is there anybody in here with me right now? And on the end table right by my head, I just hear just like the sound of one finger tapping on it. I'm like, okay, thank you. And it's just like stuff happened every single time we were there. And that was my favorite place to investigate. The thing at the Mansfield Reformatory was cool, because that was our first time really seeing something where it's a public tour, so there's tons of people there. And we went looking for a cell because before, like months or maybe a year before we went there, Taps had been there on Ghost Hunters. And there was a cell where they kept experiencing stuff. So they took a magic marker and put an X above the cell on a girder.
Right.
So we went looking for that cell. And then we're looking for it, and we finally found it. And then they announced over the PA that the pizza had just arrived, because they buy pizza for everybody that's there to go back to the guardhouse and have pizza. So we decided to investigate that cell a little longer. So we did. And then finally we're like, nothing's happening. Let's just go back and get pizza. So the 3 of us were walking on the walkway outside the prison cells. And Barry's in the front, I'm in the middle, and Matt, who was in our group at the time, was behind us. And all of a sudden, Barry elbows me in the stomach, and she goes, "Shut off your light and look ahead of us." So I did, and ahead of us, like maybe 30 feet on the walkway, was just the silhouette of a man standing there looking at us. And we're looking at this, we're looking at him, and then you can see him turn slowly and step into the cell right there. And we go down to the cell, and there's nobody there. And that's one of the few times that we actually saw something. At Vicky's, it was a lot of, like there was supposedly the ghost of a little girl there, because like a boy and his dad came in once, and they were down in the book room, and the boy asked his dad, "Who's that little girl that just walked into the wall?" So there's supposedly the ghost of a little girl there. And I was sitting on the stairway down to the furniture room, and everybody else was like in the furniture room doing EVP stuff. And I'm sitting there, and I'm like, "If you're here, can you give me a sign that you're here?" And just all of a sudden, it was like somebody took 3 fingers and just ran them along the back of my hand. And I was like, I just felt that. And then like 5 minutes later, Rhonda, who was sitting on a chair in the far side of the furniture room, said she just had the same thing happen to her, where it was like somebody took their fingers and just went along the back of the hand. But it was just like stuff happened every single time we were there. So that place was amazing. They don't own it anymore, which sucks.
Right.
But I mean, it had a crazy history. It was a saloon. It was a brothel. It was a meat plant.
So it's got history.
It's got tons of history. Yeah.
That's wild.
Yeah.
What do you think is the coolest piece of evidence you've captured?
The nothing EVP from JFK Prep.
Okay.
I don't know if you've heard that one.
I don't remember if I have.
I didn't bring anything with me, but we are in a room, I think in the basement of the dorms at JFK Prep. And we're sitting in the room with the owner at the time, Jerry. We're sitting there with him, and on the EVP, I can send you the EVP if you want to
that'd be cool.
Play it or something.
That'd be cool.
Yeah. We're sitting in this room, and we ask Jerry to ask a question. And he asks, "What should I do at this place?" And then Barry repeats his question. And when we were there...
Oh, I did hear this one.
When we were there, it was silent. But when on Mark's recorder, and only Mark's recorder, you can hear this really gruff male voice just say nothing.
"What should we do with this place? What should we do with the truth? What should we do with this place? What should we do with the truth?"
That's right. I remember.
And none of us, like, if it would have been somebody clearing their throat, like, we were really good that day with JFK Prep, like saying that was so-and-so clearing their throat. And it's just on Mark's recorder, you get this voice saying nothing, like in a really pissed off way. So I think that is our best piece of evidence.
That's so interesting.
And that's one of the reasons we wanted to get into this, is because, we love Taps and Ghost Adventures, but it's like Taps was very edited. Like, people ask me if it's like on TV, and I'm like, no. I'm like, it's really not. I mean, it's 6 hours of me sitting in a dark room.
Yeah.
Going, is anybody in here? And then listening to 6 hours of audio where there's nothing.
Yeah. Even when we do our videos, it's very condensed, because we're there for 12 plus hours.
Yeah.
And then you'll maybe get an hour and a half of evidence.
Yeah. And 20 minutes of it is us just messing around and stuff.
Yeah.
So
it's not like it is on TV. But that's why we wanted to get into this, is because I needed to know this was legit, that this stuff happens, which I found out it does. We've had so many experiences and found out it does. But that, I think, is our best piece of evidence. When we're done recording, I want to show you a video that was given to me by somebody that I work with at the factory. And she's like an oldish lady, and she said stuff was happening. So she sent me this clip from their security camera, and it's like, there was no way this was faked, because they would have no idea how to fake this, but she wanted my opinion on it. Right. So she sent it to me, and I'm like, oh my God. I'm like, this is crazy. So it's stuff like that is verifiably real is what's super interesting to me.
Yeah.
And that's why I love our episodes where we read scary Reddit stories, but it's always like, it's Reddit. You don't know.
Right.
But it's like, even if one of these are true, it's like, what the hell is going on?
Yeah.
Like the mirror stuff, where somebody goes into the bathroom in the middle of the night and look at the mirror, and the person looking back is not them. Mm-hmm. Stuff like that.
You see, when I was getting this podcast all set up and everything to start, I considered doing Reddit stories.
Yeah.
But there's no way of really verifying that. And that's why.
And I try to use my BS detector, and I'm like, no, this is obviously a no sleep fiction story.
Right.
So we try to find ones that we feel are legit. But even if a couple of these are that we read, it's just crazy stuff.
Yeah, that's why I sacrificed the whole not doing an episode every week or something like that and trying to do just one a month. Yeah. That way I'm talking like to the person who did the experience themselves.
Yep.
I mean, I'll sacrifice the algorithm versus, quality.
And like I'm fascinated by the podcast Monsters Among Us.
Right.
We're the first ones to talk where they played a story about what they call the mirrored men, where people would see, it was almost like a Men in Black thing, where people would see three men walking same exact pace, same everything, almost like mirror reflections of each other. And then they would look at the person and the person would have missing time and wake up like hours later.
Right.
And then all of a sudden, all these people started calling in saying, I saw this same thing and I didn't know this was, and it's
That's
like,
so weird.
You don't know if you can believe them or if it's just people wanting to get on the podcast.
Yeah.
But I'm fascinated by stuff like that. And that's almost like a tulpa situation where people believe in something and then create it. Like Mirrored Men didn't exist until this story, and now so many people believe in it. It's actually like willing it into existence, and stuff like that, which I think is fascinating.
No, I think a show that you'd like if you're into listening to other people's story it's called The Chilling.
I don't think I've ever heard of that one.
Yeah, it's called The Chilling. It's by the host name is Lindsay Brisbane. She is from Ohio, and she had an experience in one of the houses that they had rented when she was going to college, and she does like a whole 13 episode season 1 where she just goes into detail. She's interviewing her friends, her
awesome.
Now husband, and everything like that, and everything that they experienced there.
That's cool.
And then now in her season 2, she's kind of like having just her family and guests come on. They're talking about like other stuff, like other strange things.
It's cool that they really look into it.
Yeah.
Like Monsters Among Us is just people calling, leaving voicemails about what they've experienced. But I think that's cool. I'll have to check that one out.
Yeah, definitely check that one. I highly recommend that one.
A lot of times, like when I'm driving, I'm listening to podcasts based on whatever I'm currently researching for our next episode.
Right, yeah.
So that one I'll check out.
But yeah. Is there anything you want to ask, Taylor? I mean, no.
I just want to say back to like the apartment and the little kid. Breaks my heart that the kid was sobbing because he put the Lego away.
Yeah, I felt so bad, and then when I took it out, it stopped. So it's just like,
I'm a person that like, I haven't experienced anything truly evil. So like, if I could just like take a spirit and give them a home and make them happy, I would do it in a heartbeat.
What I found interesting though is you specifically said you angrily threw it in the drawer.
Yeah, because I was pissed because it's like, why are these turning up now? Plus Natalie was gone, so I was probably a little spooked. I'm not gonna lie.
Well, that too, but I'm just like, if you're hearing sobbing after you're throwing something in because you're upset.
I know.
He's just like, well, maybe he's just trying to help, or it's a demon.
Krista and I,
or it's a demon.
Who knows?
Krista and I talked to somebody who would claim to be a psychic a long time ago, and after talking to us, she's like, you and Krista need to be together because she said Krista and I are like super empaths that together we're like bam.
Yeah, I've been getting told that people think that I'm an empath, and they say that the third eye is opening, and they only say, I've had some weird stuff happen doing guides at the asylum.
Yeah.
The last Estes method I did in the morgue, I refuse to do it down there anymore. I had the blindfold on, and after I took the headphones off, I opened my eyes, still blindfold on over my face. I opened my eyes underneath, and I saw two eyes staring back at me. Like I saw the glistening, and I'm just like, yep, we'll not do that anymore. I can't do that.
The empath stuff is fascinating to me, like, but it freaks me out at the same time. Like,
I think really I have bad anxiety. Yeah, I think I made that mistake when we did Mark's investigation.
You opened yourself up.
I opened myself up, and because he had some people stay. We did a private investigation, and I was sitting in the bathroom where these two people had overdosed, and one of them, they both technically passed.
One if it passed completely.
One was revived in the ambulance on the way to the hospital, but I was sitting on the toilet where they both had overdosed and passed, and you just felt the pressure come in, and I'm just sitting there by myself. You're sitting outside the door. I was like, I can't do this. This is.
And then the bedroom that they both slept in was so heavy.
Yeah, there was a very heavy feeling in there.
I don't know if I could stand being in a place like that. I think that would freak me out. That would bother me. Krista and I both have this weird, like I especially have this weird fear of not being latched in control of my mind. I've talked about that on the podcast. Like I found that out in high school in psychology club where they did a hypnosis session on us, and I started doing it, and then I freaked out, like was thrashing around, like I did not want to do this. So I have like this weird, like Krista and I don't think we can get possessed because both of us have such a lock that nothing can get in.
Yeah.
So anything that involves opening yourself, and I think that's one of the things that freaked me out about the Estes method, is because you're basically opening yourself to something, putting words and phrases in your head, and I think that freaks me out so much.
And to your credit, you also bring the same point up as if you're kind of doing the same thing when you're doing EVP sessions.
Yeah. So how is that really any different? Because
I think it just feels different because I think it's more, you're hearing it in real time rather than a delay.
Yeah. Yeah. No, that's true. But I'm warming up to the Estes method, and I would try it at some point. Krista really wants to try it at some point.
Krista.
It's just, I think it's so fascinating. Like do you watch like Hellier and stuff?
I haven't seen Hellier.
Okay. Like, I just find it so hard to believe that they cannot hear what is going on with the soundproof things.
Oh yeah, you can't hear.
You 100% can't hear.
No, it sounds like it just sounds like people are mumbling.
Yeah.
Like it's so
but
muffled.
you cannot
hear what they're saying.
Yeah.
Because if you really can't, like, it's fascinating to me.
You got to get like those like earmuffs. You got to get the noise canceling ones.
But it's like
plug in.
It's amazing how it corresponds to what is going on for the person that can't hear it. You know, so I do want to try it at some point.
Yeah, it's probably my favorite thing to do, but it also is the most draining thing to do.
I believe it. Yeah, I 100%.
You get drained so
I 100% believe it.
The longest that we've ever did it was like maybe 5 or 10 minutes of a session, and then you're just like whenever I don't know.
I think the longest we've ever done one is 2 minutes tops because
you go.
Because your breathing changes.
You instantly like just start and like
you start.
Now it's freaking me out again. Now it's freaking. No, it does a lot when you do it. Does it correspond a lot with? Are you saying things that reflect with what you guys are asking, or however you guys do it?
I think it depends on the person that's under and how well they can comprehend what they're hearing.
Yeah, so with the spirit box, again, it's a modified radio.
Yeah.
So you'll hear like if the radio is picking up songs or anything like that, you'll hear the music, but you have to have it sifting at like the right speed. I set it at 250.
Yeah.
So you can hear, but you're also able to decipher between what's music, because you'll hear like a guitar strum really quick and stuff like that.
I think it was Krista that said when they were at the asylum, it was really kind of amazing, the spirit box.
Yeah.
How it was reflecting what they were asking and stuff like that. So,
but what really is interesting is when, again, I'm going to bring up Broadhead. We did the Estes method in a floating chair, which takes another level into it.
Yeah,
because you're taking away two senses, but now you're taking away another sense of like you're floating.
A deprivation tank.
Yeah,
yeah.
Well, you had the headphones on, and you didn't call it out because the spirit box was acting up really weirdly.
It was being really silly that night.
Yeah. Well, you had the headphones on, and we were getting.
It said, "Hi, Mark."
This is at Broadhead. It said,
or
hey,
not Mark.
It said,
Bill.
"Hey, Bill." It said, "Hey, Bill." Same voice with 4 sweeps in between, and then you have, I think it said like "I'm a ghost," and then it said "ghost" again.
It said, "Go back to your room."
Yeah, it said "Go back to your room," and like if you're getting a full sentence in, I don't know, 16 or 18 sweeps.
Yeah.
That's a different radio station every
And I really like that you found a way to record it. So when we go back, we can listen to it and just confirm that the person that's under
I need to try it
hear.
Because like I'm a hardcore skeptic when it comes to the spirit box.
Yeah.
But you know, when we started our podcast, I was like a hardcore Bigfoot skeptic too. And after our episode
now you got to squatch.
Now I got to squatch. I'm
squatching.
After our episode about it and hearing stories from people, from like listeners about what they see, it's like, maybe there is something to it. So now, I need to get over my spirit box skepticism.
No, it's, again,
like when we investigated, we were like super old school where it was just digital cameras, not even video cameras, digital cameras and audio recorders. And that was all we did.
Yeah.
You know, we didn't want to, I just feel like people spend so much time with tech that you're missing stuff that's going on that you're not paying attention to. So we just kept it super low tech, but I do want to try some of this other stuff.
Yeah, we've definitely embraced the tech side because I just got a new SLS camera that I'm really excited to use because it's so lightweight.
Yeah.
And then
our other investigator, Jimmy, he's more of the spiritual and less tech. So
yeah,
I got to make like a little kit where he can do all of this stuff. Like just give him one little recorder and he could go do his thing and not have to worry about all the tech stuff.
But have a camera set up.
Yeah, give him a camera too. Yes.
I love being able to record stuff. So.
Yeah, like I miss investigating too. Krista desperately misses like ghost hunts, and Rhonda and Mark desperately miss ghost hunts. So it's just that I feel like we're just so old and set in our ways that it was like, it just sounds like a lot of work. But we got to get out there and start doing it again, especially for the podcast because our listeners want us to.
What was your ghost hunting team's name again?
Heartland Paranormal Investigations, HPI.
All right. Because I'm pretty sure Kurt's going to share this on the Strange Sessions Facebook group. Heartland Paranormal. This is the Ghosts and Us crew reporting to you. Let's collab.
100%. I would love to.
Kurt will fall asleep halfway through, but that's okay.
I will.
It's okay. It's
so
understandable.
we'll have our team.
But hold on. Hold on. But here's the thing, though. Investigating isn't always like we did get some stuff in the daylight, but Kurt gets up at 2:00 in the morning. What time's the witching hour? 3.
Yeah, 3:00. I'm up in my living room researching the podcast. You know,
that's when everything will go down. Don't worry about it.
There's some groups that have a designated sleeper come with them, so that whatever's there can pull the energy from the person sleeping and use it. I don't necessarily, I don't necessarily know if I want something draining my energy when I'm sleeping, but hey, if it works. You know, maybe I'll be the designated sleeper. We'll have to see.
I love that video I have of everyone snoring, and I just turned the camera to me like, come on.
When we went to the school and we had the convent
yeah, and
to
we
ourselves.
had the convent for our base camp, and everyone is snoring, and it sounds like a chainsaw going.
Well, it sucked. No, because we went into the school. We're ready to go. Tech a-blazing. I was going to say guns a-blazing,
everything
but we're not.
Died within like 15 minutes.
Everything died, and we had everything charged. So when we got told we could use the convent house because the group who was supposed to be there canceled, we were like, sick, we'll charge everything.
Yeah.
So we had time to kill. We had a couple hours to kill.
Everyone was sleeping, and I'm just sitting here like, this is annoying.
Yeah, we have to do a collaboration.
I'd love it.
I wish Elsing's Secondhand Shop was still open because I would love to bring you guys there because you would love it. Like I said, every single time we were there, something happened.
We'll find a space.
JFK Prep, like our investigation at JFK
that would be
Prep.
Sick.
If we do a collab for the asylum.
One of our really loyal listeners lives in Wisconsin, and he said he would pay for a group, like for us and a group to do an investigation there, where it's just us at the asylum. That he would literally pay for that.
That's awesome.
So, you know, he'd want to be there, of course.
Well, yeah, of course.
But he's going to come on the podcast next season too, I think. So we would love to do something like that. Like Krista said that the asylum was really cool.
And it would be really cool because the different areas that you can go to.
Absolutely.
There's some spots that aren't open that I know of right now. So I don't know if they would be for a private. That's something I have to talk to Craig about. But the 3rd floor is really cool. I saw a full body apparition up in there. 2nd floor is the nurses' wing, which is very active.
Like you've been to the school, right? Glen Beulah? The school
yes,
there?
I did. I did my first
Is it
guide
that active there?
We had some really cool stuff happen there.
I didn't get to experience Glen Beulah.
They asked me if I wanted to go to the school instead of the asylum, and I said, yeah, I've never been there, but sure. And then when we were going through, this is how I can figure out if a place is going to be, if we're going to get an experience or not. My anxiety will spike.
Yeah.
We were in the basement and there's like this little library area. And the story is that there's residual shadows and there's also some intelligent that they'll poke around. They'll walk up and down the hallways. You'll see them. And all of a sudden I'm talking to my other guide, and I said, my anxiety's spiking. Like, I'm starting to have an anxiety attack. And she goes, do you need to step out? I went, nope. Things are about to happen. I set we have a music box now. I set it down on the floor and I switched it on, it calibrated. And then all of a sudden I was like, all right, and we're going to get activity soon. And all of a sudden it went off and I went, yes.
It sucks that that's your alarm for that.
It does suck.
Your anxiety ramping up.
It does suck to an extent, because obviously, yeah, it's anxiety. Yeah. But I'm just like, this is when I know
it prepares yourself so you don't have to have a jump scare like at Broadhead with the.
I don't know why I jumped.
What did it say?
Get out. We have a device that's like an Ovilus. It's the substitute. It's made in the UK. It's called a Paratech. It's an awesome little device.
Because I look up that stuff online to see what like the latest.
I was going to say I could show you it when we're done here.
Yeah, I'll show the clip in here too.
I have it in the car.
Yeah,
no, I know, but I'll show the clip in the video in this podcast episode
of you
too.
Getting scared and scaring me.
It said,
and
"Come
I shut
here."
off the camera.
It said, "Come here," and we had like a REM pod set up and everything like that, little cat balls too, and it's lit up. So then it said, "Come here." So I was like, "Oh, geez, all right, I'm gonna hate doing this." So I sat in the desk across from it, and then all of a sudden I was like, "All right, what do you want to talk about?" I'm here. And it lit up and it said, "Get out." And I just jumped for whatever reason.
Yeah.
Come here. Come where? Where do you want me to go?
I don't like that I did this.
Why?
I don't know.
They're just playing games.
Yeah, I was going to say, I think that's you.
What did you say? Don't like it. I really don't like this. I thought we were having fun, but I'm not having fun anymore.
They're kids.
And then Taylor, you happened to say you better be happy that he got scared.
And it said happy.
And we were like,
it just kept saying happy, tricked you, happy. It was great.
That's really cool.
Oh, real quick. I was going to talk to you about this yesterday because I rewatched our Broadhead investigation. Uh-huh. We got the thing. The Paratech said, "I'm hurt" or whatever.
Oh yeah.
I hit my head.
Yep.
I hit my head, and I fell. Like, how did you hit your head? And then it said I fell right after that, and we brushed it off kind of like it was nothing. Mm-hmm. I forgot. Jimmy said that he saw something crawling on the ceiling.
Ew.
A shadow, and that's one of the reports in that building because there's in Broadhead Manor there's these pillars,
handprints.
There's handprints, and they're not painted
they're
on.
Burned
they're
in.
burned in.
Anything crawling on a ceiling freaks me out too. Like any stories where something is crawling on a ceiling, freaks the hell out of me.
I forgot that he had said that.
I will say it's pretty awesome that we left a mark at Broadhead because Bill said that it keeps calling me out.
You did a ritual though before we went there.
Yes.
Like we walked in, you did to make yourself a lighthouse.
I wanted to drop things in, and it sure did because
I saw
a shadow figure,
we need to do an
and
investigation.
I'm freaking out
because I really want to see what it's like to be on an investigation with tech like that because we've never done that. The anxiety thing is interesting because JFK Prep, when we investigated JFK Prep, it was the opposite. We were kind of spooked by how drawn we were to the place, like how we felt happy when we were there. Like it was like an ecstatic happiness. It was like the complete opposite of anxiety, but also not much really happened to us when we were there. It was kind of disappointing actually.
We'll collab and I'll do another ritual.
We'll do it again.
It'll be great.
That'll be if we can get the asylum, let's do the asylum.
Yeah, we'll figure out what we can do because that would be cool.
Yeah, that'd be sick. Well,
you know that place pretty well.
I know that place very well. Well, Kurt, if there's anything else you want to talk about, we got about 5 minutes left before we.
I can't think of anything.
Right. Well,
we covered a lot of stuff. Krista, like with the podcast, Krista loves the paranormal stuff. I do too, but I also like just the weird.
Yeah.
Like the Bet Sphere. I love the story of the Bet Sphere. That's my favorite podcast episode that we did.
Yeah.
You know, and the nature of reality and the Mandela effect and synchronicities, like all that stuff we love. But we're trying this season and next season to get back to like haunted places.
Yeah.
But part of me feels like there's just so much you can talk about. It's like this place is haunted, cabinets open.
Yeah.
You hear people on the stairs. So we're trying to get more into that, and a lot of our listeners want us to do like an investigation and like have an episode take place. Like,
no, that would be really fun. Yeah,
but yeah, we gotta hook up sometime and do an investigation together.
Absolutely. Well, Kurt, do you want to give yourself a plug? Plug the show?
Podcast is The Strange Sessions. We are on just about everything you can imagine: YouTube, Spotify, Amazon, iTunes, like everywhere. Seriously thought nobody would listen to it when we started it. Like we weren't being humble. We were like, we thought 10 people would listen to it. And Krista's like, we're still going to do it because Kurt and I love talking about this stuff. And then all of a sudden people started filtering in that we didn't know. And it just floors us like how many people listen. And the fact that we get letters from people that listen, they're in the hospital and one of their parents are passing away. And they said that we're the only thing that got them through that. You know, a guy in a different country building his house, listening to us and remembering in every room what episode he was listening to. It's just, it floors us that people care and listen. So it's The Strange Sessions. You can look for us. We're not really good at promoting ourselves. Like, we don't do any of that stuff. So we love that people just happen to find us. And
word of mouth is the best thing.
It is. And we love it when it happens. A lot of people, because of our missing 411 stuff, because Krista and I are fascinated by missing 411. You know, like the people that go mysteriously disappearing in national parks and the theory that it's being covered up and stuff. So that's how a lot of people find us, is looking for podcasts about that. But if stuff like that is up your alley, give us a listen.
Yeah. And you can follow us at Ghosts and Us. We are on Instagram, X/Twitter for now. See how that goes, because
we don't even say Twitter anymore.
Yeah,
like, we don't know.
I do post stuff there. I mean, it's just
that's all you. I don't touch.
There's some stuff going on in that sphere that's gonna probably make everybody go away.
Yeah.
And then we have our Facebook group called Ghosts and Us Paranormal Investigators. Everybody's welcome to join. It's not just, you know, for us to post our stuff. Everybody,
we want.
There's a lot of people
to
contribute.
Yeah.
There's a lot of people who've been contributing now. How they're happy to be part of the group, and how they're like people are using it as a breeding ground to start their own groups, which is awesome.
That is awesome. That is cool.
So I saw a couple posts in there saying that they're looking. So hopefully someone will.
Yeah, we love when people that listen to our podcast start their own podcast, because they're like, if these two schlubs can do it, anybody can, you know. So we love that.
Don't sell yourself short.
Well, you know, like it just surprises me that people like it, because I always, like, Krista jokes that after every episode, I'm like, I don't think that was a good episode, and then everybody's like, that episode was great. So I'm just not a good judge of our own podcast, I guess. Yours is awesome, though.
Thank you very much.
I have watched it.
Thank you very much. I appreciate that. But yeah. That is all I have. Taylor, anything?
I don't think so.
No. Thank you for having me on. This was
absolutely
awesome.
Thank you for coming on.
You guys got me excited about new tech. So that's exciting. Yeah, if you guys put that much stock in it, I will give it a try. And the Estes method, even though it creeps me out.
It's the same as an EVP.
Exactly.
But yeah, thank you guys so much for watching. Thank you guys so much for listening, and we will see you next time.